I think I first put myself as a recipient, see if it works on me, and then I try to deploy them. So that is one reality check that I've always done. And anything that doesn't fly by me doesn't fly with the customer.
Hi everyone, welcome to the esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation, and I'm your host for today, Smeet. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and the future leaders. We have one such highly acclaimed name on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Ms. Sudharshan Bhaskaran. As the global marketing head for freight systems and Newage Software and Solutions, he brings in excellence in marketing, boasting a distinguished career marked by a series of significant achievements across diverse industries and global markets. In his current role, he serves as the Senior Director of Marketing at Newage Software and Solutions, where he has played a pivotal role in driving organizational transformation. Thank you so much, Mr. Sudarshan, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, could you provide an overview of your career journey and key milestones that have shaped your role as a marketing leader?
Uh, Hi, everyone. Thanks again for the WDC for having me here in these interviews. I started my career almost 24 years ago. I think even before that, probably I'll touch upon my education background. I was a mechanical engineer by background, and then I wanted to specialize in management. So I dually specialized in marketing and systems in my PG. And then I started my career for a large multinational as a management trainee. And that's where I started to put theory into practice, where all the knowledge that you've acquired in your institutions. I think that's the first time that I had to face the reality of life versus what I had learned in my classes. And starting from that time, I think I was quite specific in the way that I wanted my career to be shaped. I had some vision for myself. I don't know if I can call that a vision, but still, I think I had certain dreams and aspirations, which I wanted to groom in the right direction. And I'm grateful. I think I was also provided with some opportunities like that in my long career. I've served multiple industries. Non-IT was the starting point, but then slowly I stepped into the realm of IT, IT-enabled services, IT products, SaaS, so on. I think today where I am is I'm able to see that a marketer today has got a lot of flexibility compared to what somebody might have seen or witnessed 20 years ago. So, and I'm able to kind of pull back myself and see what's happening around me. And I believe that the most important thing for success, for anybody for that matter, is trying to adapt to change. I think that is critical, and I believe I've done that to some extent, which is why probably I'm still sustaining and I'm able to speak the language of today, as well as I'm able to connect with my past, draw from experience, as well as try and put some of the new tech in place, try and figure out what's going on, and do a lot more in terms of putting both the support that I get from advanced tech with my experience and try and make sense of what's going on. Overall, I would say a couple of key things that I think I've worked on and which have also helped me is trying to be customer focused. So I personally put myself in the shoes of the customer and whatever messaging, whatever campaigns I'm trying to create. I think I first put myself as a recipient, see if it works on me, and then I try to deploy that. So that is one reality check that I've always done. And anything that doesn't fly by me doesn't fly with the customers as well. So I've never entertained any messaging or positioning or campaigns for that matter. That doesn't work on me. So that is one aspect which I've been quite finicky about, you can say. So that is an important aspect of what I've been doing. The other thing which I've kind of cultivated, which probably many marketeers might not feel as probably a very comfortable subject, is to tread on ROI. Marketing has always been one area where people have been questioning its abilities to create an impact in the organization and the business results. I would say, compared to what we were about 15, 20 years ago, today I think we are far mature in the way marketing manages itself and its ability to contribute tangibly to the functioning and the progress of the business. So in that aspect, I've done my part wherever possible in trying to assess the impact of what marketing can create on the organizations that I've served. And I've been able to draw out matrices and key performance indicators, which also helps the management to understand how marketing is shaping their businesses. I believe these are some things. And of course, adapting to modern tech, I think we might speak about that more in our conversation because that's the evolving space. And it goes without saying that you definitely need to pick up whatever is coming your way. And rather than trying to form your own path, it is probably better to have a mix of both worlds. Try and see what works best. And if you're getting benefited, why not adopt any new tech that helps? That has been my mantra: flexibility, adaptability, and of course, trying to be more customer centric. That I would put as
Yeah. But let's talk about, you've engaged with diverse cultural and regional markets. So how do you tailor your strategies to serve these markets, namely India, then you have Europe and the US. So how do you go about that?
yeah. I think one key thing what I've understood is there are a lot of differences, right, from the mindset to the cultural backgrounds to the way the belief system itself operates amongst customers of different regions. And it is extremely important for a marketer to be successful to customize what you are trying to offer, whether it is your positioning, your messaging, or the way you convey it, to factor in and keeping in mind all of these understandings and hence deploy your campaigns. For instance, I think when I do campaigns for the US or when I market my products or services to the US, it is extremely important that you emphasize on your local presence. I think the US market is quite sensitive to the fact that you need to have a local presence, and otherwise their trust on you is probably not going to happen at all. That is something which is quite key in the way that I position my offerings. And more so, I've observed that the Americans tend to kind of, you know, uh, give a lot of importance for prompt service. So it is also important that the messaging conveys how responsive your organization can be in addressing the needs of the customer. And the other key thing is they are also quite interested to know how you have helped another entity in their very own geography. So, for instance, if you have a customer for which you have developed your services or products, it's better to showcase what you've done for a local American company and hence use that in your pitch
Hmm.
or getting a more, kind of a connect with the US audience. If you look at Europe, it is even more diverse. I would say it is important to understand there's a lot of difference. Though it is called Europe as a continent, you should realize right from the language to the set of beliefs to whatnot, Europe is extremely diverse. And accepting this and showing that you understand that diversity is probably the first important that any marketer needs to. Secondly, I think European market is quite quality conscious. And so they give a lot of importance to quality of output, finesse in which the way you do things. So if those are your plus points, then it is extremely important that you use that in your language. So I've been trying to emphasize the kind of quality in the outcomes, the operations, or if at all there is a specific craftsmanship or exquisite nature in which you can create your products, and that's the way you differentiate. I've highlighted those kind of aspects which have also appealed to the European. So that is kind of pretty important. And you might have also observed that of late sustainability has become a global topic. I think that kind of evolved from Europe, I would say. So Europeans gave a lot of importance to sustainability quite some time back onwards. So again, using sustainability in my messaging has also helped me to ensure that there is a lot of appeal in the Europeans. India, as we all know, is quite a very strong and a very difficult market to crack. But yeah, we being Indians, we know the power of local sentiments
Yeah.
and our belief system and so on. And everybody knows that India is a price sensitive market. So the consciousness of price and the kind of value that you need to derive out of a certain price point is extremely important. So the messaging needs to be value oriented or what kind of value your product or your service offers to the customer is extremely important when you're communicating to a market like India. That has been my mantra. So trying to say how much extra or how much more he gets for the same price compared to some of the other competing offers, this is probably the most important aspect of messaging for India. And of course, using the seasonal relevance of using any festivities or any form of such localized events also helps you to kind of position your campaigns better. So I think this, in short, is this.
This is in short, but I'm sure it requires a lot of studying of different markets, and I can see that you've done that very well, very insightful. Thank you for that. You've been recognized as the most influential marketing technology leader. So, how do you integrate technology into your marketing strategies?
Right? Uh, See, I think if I remember, the influx of technology into marketing was as early as 2005. I think many people might not realize it, but it all started with companies trying to automate email marketing campaigns. So there were standalone platforms that started evolving in those days, where platforms for managing all the campaigns started. And of course, Google also came in and they did their bit in terms of web monitoring and so on. In the early 2000s, I think one key challenge that marketing as a function always had was how do you justify the return on investment? And those were the days when digital marketing was literally absent. And I think anything that was close to called as a digital marketing in those days was probably your company having a website or you having a multimedia CD-ROM go to your offerings. So I'm talking about those days where you had probably one television ad campaign or a press ad campaign and so on. And the most difficult aspect of all of that was to try and prove that it worked for you. Right? And I still remember the days where we were running behind specialist market research agencies and ad agencies which would do the pre and post brand audit study for you or do a survey amongst your potential customers, figure out where your brand awareness is on a scale of 1 to 10 and so on and so forth. Now, the problem with all this is that nothing was definitive, right? Can't trust the outcomes of any of those things, as well as it was also time consuming and a costly affair. But today, with the advent of technology, I think a lot of flexibility has come into marketing. And today, a marketer can try things for as less as a week or 2 weeks, measure what is going on, see if it works for himself, and then try and deploy it globally. So that I think has been a very important aspect of a tech foray into marketing. And I believe for a lot of time now, I've used a lot of tech in the way I go about things. For instance, right from using the simple free Google Analytics to monitor your website visitors to using extremely high-end IP tracking and analytics to understand the anonymous visitor. Right? For instance, if you have a website and then let us say you have 10,000 visitors, but you may not know more than 70% of your visitors. All of them choose to stay anonymous because they are still probably not there yet in terms of their missions. But it is extremely important for marketing to understand who those people are and see what can be done to ensure that you kind of approach them proactively and see if you can get them converted. So this IP tracking and analytics, which is provided by a lot of platforms like Lead Forensics, Lead Feeder, Zoom Info, for instance, as well as Open Tracker. There are a lot of platforms that I use where I try and find out some details about these anonymous visitors, and that information is fed into the sales or the inside sales. They use this information further to map the decision makers and try and see if they can approach these prospects. So that is one very good usage of tech that has been quite successful in my career so far. The other aspects of understanding web visitors even more is by using other high-end tech like session recordings, using heat maps, trying to figure out what the user does on your website. Does he do this W pattern of reading? Is he using the Z pattern of reading and so on? And where does he flow in this entire journey? He lands on your homepage. From the homepage, where all does he go? How long does he spend? What kind of information is he assimilating? Finally, before trying to disclose this information, I think this aspect of this entire journey of a prospect trying to become your lead is extremely important. And tech is definitely going to help you there. And I've found a lot of good results using tech in that aspect. So whether it is they spending enough time on a certain area or whether they are ignoring your so-called very important content areas and so on, that gives you a lot of insight into the way you need to tweak what you have written about yourself, the way you have presented yourself, or probably even for that matter, a simple layout change can give you the desired results.
Yeah.
So that is another area where tech comes in very handy. And even more important is for SEO. All of us understand that while you may have marketing budgets and you may try and do some paid campaigns, but what sustains for you is what you can do on your SEO. And tech has played a lot of role in enhancing what SEO we do. 10 years ago, probably there was hardly any tools that you use to improve your SEO. But today, the advent of multiple tools like SEM Rush or for that matter, Moz, and a few other tools, you can understand the kind of importance that people give to certain keywords. Again, we spoke about geographical bifurcation in the way we approach things. So the way an Indian searches, the keywords that he uses are so different from what an American uses. So it is important for you, depending on your focus geography, to understand how each geography searches. And that you can get a lot of input from the usage of these tools. Understand if that works for you, and then try and build the content organically and see if you can get it published and amplify what you have done to the extent that your prospect starts noticing you. So again, tech comes in very handy in those aspects. The other aspects are like, for instance, you have a prospect coming into your site. He spends time in page 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then finally he lands up on your lead form. But then he refuses to sign up.
Mm.
You need to know why that happened. Otherwise, you will be doing camping after camping, but then you'll just have people visiting your pages, but the leads are zero. Right? So it's important to understand what went wrong. And there again, tech comes into play. So you have a lot of these farm analytics engines that can help you understand which field did your prospect quit and go. And that's where you can understand the sentiments as well. So for instance, if he's dropping your form at the place where you're asking for his mobile number, it means that he values his privacy and he fears you may bug him with a lot of your marketing. So that input again feeds into the way you design your forms, and you ensure that you do forms in a very simplistic manner that you are able to attract him to ensure that he fills in the form. And if you don't have all the data that you want, you always have a second time, right? You feed him some more information. Probably you send him a case study, which gets him even more excited. And that's when you ask him for his actual contact information. So it's a kind of a waiting game that you need to play sometimes, because not every time nor every visitor is ready to part away with their personal information straight away. That also has to be done, and tech plays a very important role there as well. Not to forget the CRMs of this modern day world, where whether it is Salesforce or Zoho, I think each CRM has its own pluses. So choosing the right CRM for the kind of organization that you work for is very important. And all these CRMs nowadays also have a lot of these modules, right? You can enhance what you're doing by adding the standalone modules they provide. For instance, Toho has a camping module separately. They have a calendar application separately. They have an equivalent of Zoom itself, their platform. So again, what works for you? It is important for you to study what works and add that tech. And I believe this good integration of tech with a lot of analytical approach, the way you have to be practically grounded, and the customer centricity is extremely important for success. And I believe that has led to some of my success.
And what kindled your interest in ESG and in corporate governance?
I think I see being in marketing, it is obviously part of my job to stay updated, to work for news and see how things are modeling and how organizations are looking at the future and so on. I kind of found some important aspects of ESG where I believe both ESG and corporate governance are essentially done by companies which are aiming to build a very sustainable business model. These are done by companies which want to attract a lot of shareholder trust, as well as attract investments, and of course maintain a loyal employee base. And I also realized that these things are not just done for the ethical imperative perspective, but it is also giving a lot of strategic advantage that contributes to the overall business resilience and success. So I now realized, and I've come to terms with the fact that ESG and corporate governance are going to be probably the two important pillars for any organization of any size to ensure that they are able to sustain and they need to stay competitive. That is where I got interested.
And as an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
Like I've been saying, I think one important trait that I feel that I will come in handy is the fact that I've got a multi-industry background. So it is not just IT or IT-enabled services or non-tech areas, but this mixture of multiple industries and working for those companies has made me to also interact with a lot of diverse workforce, whether it is people in India, people in overseas, and so on. And also the fact that the target markets have also been different. That also gives me a strong understanding of the customer psychology working in these markets. Alongside all this, I think I've also been privileged to work as part of elite strategic steering committee teams for the top management in both large size as well as in mid size and small size startups, where I've been providing these kind of inputs to the managing director or the CEO as the executive decision maker. And working closely with the board of directors has also given me that insight into the way in which ideally a business needs to be treated. Right? There are these business levers that all businesses will look forward to in terms of tweaking them to stay sustainable and be competitively different. So all this plus delivering on key measurement areas, KPIs that are involving shareholder value as part of large organizations, plus being part of certain startups where I've also helped the management raise investments, seed capital, and so on. I think I have a profound understanding of both the corporate governance spectrum as well as the financial management aspects of it, in addition to my sales and marketing background. I think I can be a valuable asset for organizations in the IT-enabled services or the tech space of any size for that matter, and I can help them probably pave a way for a profitable and a sustainable business.
And what changes do you expect to see in the field of marketing with the advent of IoT, AI, machine learning, big data, and Web 3.0?
Yeah, I think the advent of all of this, as I have already mentioned, is only a boon in my view. And I think this combination of all of this is going to help the marketer for the benefit. And I would say that, for instance, the influx of AI and the ML, right? Now, the combination of these two helps you to localize or personalize your offerings to the extent that you can kind of tailor make what you want to say to your customer based on real-time analytics that you're able to be gathering from all these IoT devices and so on. So what people today call as hyper-personalization, right? They know exactly what you want, and you'll be shocked sometimes the kind of messaging that you get from some providers that is even sitting next to me and is even observing me for all that you do, right? So to that extent, hyper-personalization is something which is enabled by the evolution of all of these tech. It goes without saying that big data and AI as a combo gives you a lot of predictive analytics, right? So today, uh, again, I refer to some of the investments we did in product research almost 2 decades ago, where you have a specific team trying to work and trying to understand the future customer preferences in creating ideas for new products. But today, with a lot of big data and I think you even trying to predict what your customers will want next without even they voicing it out. I
Yeah.
think that has become one key aspect of how this combination of tech can help you. And of course, all of us use today, some smart gadget or the other, right? Whether it is a smart watch or a health tracker or some high tech, smart glasses also have started coming into the market and so on. Now, all of this, it also tries to ensure that you get more closer with your customer. So a simple instant pop up based on what your customer's pattern has been, right? You find a guy who's highly fitness conscious, and suddenly you pop up something and say that, hey, did you know that there is this product which can further add to your fitness regime and so on and so forth. So that customer engagement can be one important thing that you can achieve with the evolution of all of these things. And yes, see, if you look at the marketing related or the online payment related fluctuations and the kind of apprehensions that people have got today, I think it has been largely reduced thanks to blockchain and prevention of online frauds. Of course, there are always loopholes everywhere, but I believe that a scenario will come when all this tech will also help you to nullify the level of transparency and the kind of trust that you can build in your online payments as well. And I think what they speak about this Web 3.0 and a combination of blockchain, I think the situation is already coming where the customers will no longer be bombarded by unwanted advertising. All that as decentralized advertising, where you ensure that the customer takes control of what he wants to see. Now that, while it might be seen as a kind of a blocker for marketing, but I believe that eventually it will shape up into the aspect that you now know who exactly is interested in your product. And if he chooses to say yes to your advertising, that is probably the biggest clue that you can get to understand that here is my customer, and probably the others who have so long been getting the eyeballs, probably I was wasting my time.
Yeah.
That gives you an even more insight into actually understanding your customers. And of course, overall, getting real-time data flowing into your system, again through these IoT devices and with a mix of AI and ML and big data and so on. All of this is going to help us get more closer and closer to the customer, understanding what they think, what they want, and in the end, trying to personalize the entire offering to the extent that you surprise him in a positive way and end up delighting your customer. So this entire mix of offerings is only going to be for the better. But of course, all of us are learning, and I think a time will come when we will master all this and then try and be more predictable in the way we operate.
So we are building a community of industry magnets, and the move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. What are your thoughts in this regard about this initiative taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the whole World Development Corporation team?
Right. I think first of all, it's a very, very interesting and a very useful initiative. The reason being, all of us know that knowledge is wealth. And it is extremely important in today's competitive world for all of us to stay updated. But you can't literally try and force yourself to learn anything. Right? Completely is your prerogative. It depends on your work schedule, your social environment, the environment at home, and so on. And I don't think all of us get enough time to do a self-directed learning. Now, I think that's where this kind of a platform comes in handy, where all that you need to do is probably, whenever you find time, say for 30 minutes or so, just plug into one of these videos and listen to the experts talk. And there is no better way than to listen to experts who have already been there, done it, because you don't have to reinvent it. Right? All that you need to do is just plug in and listen to what they've got to say. And again, I think this is something which all of Indians, we believe that, starting from our elders saying that, you look at your elders and you get inspiration from them and so on. And that is the very basis of this Gurukul system itself. So the fact that we need to look upon people who have already done it, show them their respect for what they have done, and probably get a lot of insights from the way they have done things, because you don't have that kind of a time to reinvent what they have already done. So it's important that such platforms are to be effectively used, and I really commend Mr. Zishan and Mr. Havel for initiating such a thing, but because it's a wonderful thing. Because nowadays people also don't come forth in trying to share their knowledge, and if yes, they both have enabled such a platform, I don't think there can be a better way of trying to reward yourself than just to plug in and listen to what's going on and stay updated. At the end of the day, you are the one who's going to benefit out of all this. Probably they don't gain anything out of this. It's important that all of us understand why such a platform exists and the kind of importance that we need to provide for this, because learning is always a part of growth.
And absolutely. Thank you so much. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm so confident that all your insights will inspire our future leaders. And I also wish you all the best for all your future endeavors. Thank you so much, Mr. Sudarshan, for joining us today.
Thank you, Ismi. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks to WCC and Mr. Zishan and you. Thank you.
Thank you.